Okay, let's unpack this. We're about to embark on a deep dive into a destination that, well, it might just be one of Africa's best kept secrets.
hmm while places like Kenya or South Africa often sort of grab the headlines, our source material today, it's drawing from excerpts of Discover Angola, Africa's Hidden Gem. It suggests there's somewhere really unique waiting, right there on the southwest coast.
Exactly. And this material, it isn't just like listing facts, is it? It's painting a picture of Angola as this, well, incredible place that feels largely untouched by mass tourism.
Yeah, that's the core idea. So our mission here, guided, purely by what these sources present, is to figure out why it's being called a hidden gem right now.
And what kind of adventure is actually being described in these pages.
Absolutely. And the material, it certainly promises quite a journey. It hints at everything from, dramatic natural landscapes and vibrant cultures.
To a complex history and that really appealing sense of discovering something truly authentic.
It's quite a stack of insights, really, into a less explored corner of the world.
Okay, so let's dive right into that core appeal then. Why Angola, according to this source? What makes its blend of attractions stand out?
Well, the material points to a really compelling combination. It emphasizes these breathtaking natural landscapes. And it's not just one type,
Right.
We're talking desert dunes that apparently melt right into the coastline and then transitioning inland to tropical rainforests. That sheer range feels pretty unique.
That range is incredible, going from, vast arid landscapes to lush green forests all within one country. And it sounds like the culture is just as layered.
Oh, absolutely. The source highlights the cultural richness. It points out Angola is home to over 90 distinct ethnic groups.
90, wow.
Yeah, each contributing unique traditions, music, dance, cuisine. It suggests this incredible tapestry of experiences if you're looking to understand the human story there.
Over 90 groups.
Yeah.
It really speaks volumes about the depth of culture. And the material also weaves in the historical layer too, right?
It does. It mentions a rich colonial history, particularly the lingering Portuguese influence, which is apparently visible in the architecture and, the historic towns.
So that history isn't just background noise.
No, not at all. It adds another dimension to the places you visit. It's like a story waiting to be discovered right alongside the natural beauty.
And here's where it gets really interesting, I think, based on what's emphasized. This idea of untouched tourism. The source explicitly contrasts Angola with more crowded destinations, suggesting you can have a more authentic, immersive experience here. Does the material give any insight into what that actually feels like on the ground?
Well, it frames it as experiencing a place before it's, fundamentally changed by mass tourism. The source suggests this under-the-radar status is the appeal right now.
Ah, okay.
Arguing it makes this the perfect time to visit for that sort of raw, unspoiled quality. It's about discovery, really, without the hordes of people.
Right. Speaking of visiting, the source takes us on a bit of a tour of some key destinations. Let's start with the capital city it describes.
Okay, right. Luanda. It's the capital, largest city, and it's depicted as this really vibrant hub right there on the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay.
It's presented as this dynamic mix. You've got old colonial era buildings standing right alongside modern skyscrapers. Plus, it mentions a buzzing nightlife.
It sounds like a city with a lot of energy then.
Yeah.
What are the specific spots the source highlights as, essential in Luanda?
It points to a few key places. The Fortaleza de São Miguel, that's a historic fortress offering panoramic views and a museum on Angola's past.
Right, history and views.
Then there's the Marginal Promenade, suggested for scenic walks along the oceanfront, cafes, that sort of thing.
Nice.
Ilha do Cabo, which is described as a long sand spit, or peninsula,
Yeah.
known for its beaches, seafood restaurants, lively bars.
Beach life right near the city.
Exactly. And finally, the Iron Palace. It's noted as this striking colonial building with this intriguing detail that it was allegedly designed by Gustav Eiffel.
Allegedly by Eiffel. Now that is a fascinating little historical nugget, if it's true. Okay, so moving down the coast from the busy capital, what's next?
The source then describes Benguela. This is painted as a more relaxed coastal town. It was a significant colonial trading port, apparently.
Okay.
And that history is still visible in its elegant architecture and historic churches.
So perhaps a bit of a different pace compared to Luanda, focusing more on the coastline maybe.
Yes, definitely seems that way. with a strong emphasis on beautiful beaches like Bahia Azul and Bahia Farta. They're presented as ideal spots for swimming, sunbathing, photography.
That's lovely.
The material also mentions the historic Caminho de Ferro de Benguela railway line, connecting it back to the town's colonial importance. It seems to offer that blend of history and relaxation.
Okay, interesting. Now, what about heading inland, away from the coast? Where does the source take us then?
Right, inland. Lubango is highlighted. This is located in the southern highlands, so you get cooler weather. And this area seems to be the place for, like, dramatic scenic beauty, breathtaking viewpoints.
Like what specifically? What are the must-sees here, according to the text?
Well, the Tundavella Gap is featured pretty prominently. It's described as this dramatic cliff drop offering truly panoramic views over the escarpment.
Wow.
And the Serra de Liba Road. This is presented as a marvel of engineering, you know, those hairpin turns winding down the mountain, noted as a photographer's dream.
That sounds visually spectacular, almost cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a landmark statue you mentioned there, too? Kind of like...
Yes, exactly. The Cristo Rey statue overlooking the city. The source explicitly draws a comparison to Rio's Christ the Redeemer, suggesting a similar sort of scale and vantage point over the city.
A bit of unexpected international flair right there.
Okay.
What about natural wonders on a grand scale, like waterfalls?
Yes, the source points to Kalandula Falls. They're in Malangeri province, and it actually refers to them as Africa's hidden Niagara. It's presented as one of the largest waterfalls on the continent.
Hidden Niagara.
Okay.
And the dimensions shared in the source, do they give a sense of its power?
They really do. It's noted as being about 105 meters high and stretching nearly 400 meters wide.
That's huge.
It is. And the surrounding lush forest makes it ideal, according to the source, for things like hiking, birdwatching, ecotourism. That comparison to Victoria Falls in the material really helps ground the immense scale for you.
Yeah, absolutely. That image of power and scale is striking. And finally, for those whose idea of adventure maybe involves more arid landscapes.
Right. There's an option for desert enthusiasts, too. The Namibe Desert is presented. This area is described as offering, you know, stunning sand dunes, unique flora.
Like that ancient Welwitschia plant.
Exactly, the Welwitschia, and rare desert-adapted animals as well.
Yes, the Welwitschia plant. Does the source offer any more detail on what makes it so unique beyond just being ancient?
Well, it calls it ancient and unique, primarily known for having just 2 massive long leaves. They just sprawl along the ground.
Only 2 leaves.
Yeah, and they can live for hundreds, sometimes apparently thousands of years. It's presented almost as a symbol of the desert's resilience.
Fascinating. A plant living that long with just 2 leaves. So what kind of activities does the source suggest for exploring this desert landscape?
It lists things like desert safaris, naturally, photography tours focusing on the dunes and the unique life there, and also exploring these sort of isolated fishing villages you find along that stretch of coastline.
Okay, so we've explored the why and the where, based pretty firmly on this source material. What about the how? I mean, the practical side. The source also includes some tips for planning a trip, right?
It does, yeah. It provides some key practical information for visas, for instance. It mentions an online application process is available for citizens of many countries.
But check first, obviously.
Absolutely. Standard advice. Always check the specific requirements for your nationality.
Good practical advice. Language. What should people expect?
Portuguese is the official language. Basic English is noted as being spoken, but primarily in hotels and the main urban centers, so maybe not everywhere.
Okay, good to know. And the currency people need to be aware of.
That's the Angolan Kwanza. The abbreviation is AOA.
Got it. And finally, what does the source suggest is the best time to visit for this kind of exploration we've been talking about?
The period from May to October, that corresponds with the dry season there.
Right.
And the material notes, this is perfect for wildlife viewing and, you know, getting out to explore those diverse landscapes without worrying too much about rain.
Okay, makes sense. Now, the source also touches on the practicalities of actually putting this trip together. It mentions a platform called FlightNHotels.com.
Yes, it introduces this platform. It's presented as a potential sort of one-stop resource for planning and booking your trip.
Okay, how does it help, according to the source?
Well, the source suggests it helps by allowing you to compare international flight prices, specifically mentioning routes to Luanda and other cities.
Right.
And finding and booking affordable hotel rooms with features like reviews and discounts noted. Also arranging car rentals, which sounds useful for road trips there.
Definitely, especially with places like Serra de Liba.
Exactly, and accessing customized travel deals.
So essentially, it's presented as a tool to simplify the process,
Hmm.
to make accessing all these elements we've just discussed, this whole hidden gem adventure, a bit easier to organize.
That's precisely how the source frames it. It lists key features like having a global search engine, access across multiple devices, transparent pricing. It mentions no hidden fees, secure transactions.
And important stuff.
Yeah, and access to discounted rates for flights and hotels. It's basically presented as a way to potentially make planning this specific Angolan adventure more straightforward and perhaps cost-effective, bridging that gap between, wanting to go and actually making it happen.
Okay, so pulling together everything we've learned just from these excerpts, the source really paints a powerful picture, doesn't it? Angola as a land defined by its kind of raw beauty and a wealth of unspoiled treasures.
It really does. I mean, from imagining yourself lounging on Benguela's beaches or maybe tackling those winding roads and dramatic views near Lubango.
Right, or standing dwarfed by the sheer scale of Kalandula Falls.
Or exploring that ancient desert. The range of experiences described is just vast and, frankly, very appealing.
And the source consistently reinforces this idea that Angola offers a unique travel experience, one fundamentally different, perhaps, from the more well-trodden tourist paths many people take.
And crucially, it suggests that despite its hidden gem status, planning the journey according to the material we reviewed anyway can potentially be made simple, convenient, and even cost-effective using the methods it described.
Yeah, it's presenting Angola as this compelling possibility, not some inaccessible dream.
Exactly.
So, thinking about this, if knowledge is truly about expanding our understanding, maybe challenging assumptions, and definitely uncovering hidden value, then based on the core idea presented in this source material, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hidden gems, whether they're unexplored places like Angola, or maybe overlooked ideas, or even just different perspectives on familiar topics, what else might be waiting out there for you to discover simply by daring to look beyond the obvious?